RisingGuys, Hyeperion here, back with another video. It's an update video again, but this one's juicy, and I only post game updates when they are big and if I like them. This update consists of item balances, rework drops and buff drop rates. This is super cool as most of us who knew this expected this change to happen after Unity, when Oryx 3 gets introduced, as these balances are being implemented due to even higher tiered items coming to Realm. To start it off, let's talk about the reworked loot distribution. Wine Cellar tops now only drop in the Wine Cellar and Shadows. They took it away from a bunch of dungeons ranging from Deadwater Docks to even the Lost Halls, Cult and Void included. This is mainly to bring back value to the tops in the economy, which is pretty cool. I know what you're thinking, this doesn't look so good now for Lost Halls, but they gave a big buff to tier 13 weapons and tier 14 armors, and their drop rates, mentioned in the patch notes. Their rates have doubled or even tripled, so expect some cool stuff there. Going along with the economic balance, potion drops have been tampered too. The endgame dungeons like Lost Halls, Nest and Fungal Cavern now have reduced pot drop rates, which means you can get a purple bag from the Marble Colossus. But their reasoning behind it is fine, which is making it less easier to max your stats, just spamming Discord dungeons, so fair enough. And it brings a little more light to the Ocean Trench and Tomb, the OG endgame dungeons. Speaking of endgame dungeons, the general dungeon cap of 85 has been bumped down to 65 for performance and balance to the game. I'm not really a fan of this, as with the 85 dungeon cap, I just make it into Lost Halls Discord once, but oh well, this update contains more good than bad. Now to our favourite bit of loot distribution, increased drop rates. I already talked about the tiered items from Lost Halls, but over 50 white bags have the drop rates buffed. I won't name all of them, I'll link the notes in the description. Anyways, it buffs a lot of drop rates, some from the Godland dungeons, some from medium level dungeons too, Court of Oryx dungeons, which is nice because these dungeons have super low rates and are only done on events, and all the endgame dungeons too. And that means Shadows and Lost Halls. This all ties with the dungeon cap being decreased and pot and top distribution changes. It's to give endgame dungeons more value as they take a bit more time to complete. That's all the loot distribution covered, now onto item balancing. There are no nerfs, just buffs. So I'll call this segment item buffs. First up, the current endgame tiered items. With Oryx 3 coming out with even stronger tiered items, Deca doesn't want the Lost Halls tops to lose value, so they tweaked them. For the changes, I'll briefly talk about them. For the armors, Dominion gives 26 defense now. Wormhide gives 19 defense and 6 dexterity. Finally, the Star Mother Robe gives 15 defense, 5 attack, 7 wisdom and 65 mana. I mean, these items are already good, so these buffs are saucy, especially Wormhide. I won't go with numbers on each weapon as that's pointless. All you need to know is they all hit a decent amount harder.
Boom! Bam! Bop! Bada bop! Boom! Pow!
Basically, imagine tier 13 weapons are now tier 14 weapons, which is a big jump from tier 12 weapons. Hopefully that didn't confuse you. Tier 6 rings also get a small buff, except for the Hellstone Mana rings. All the others now give a plus 10 in their respective stat. These changes are to keep the tiered weapons in line with the UT and ST items. Personally, I see a bunch of power creep here and there. But Oryx 3 is coming out, smaller dungeon caps too. I can see that they're trying to make the game a bit harder, so these are somewhat fitting. With the buff of the tiered armors, the Lost Halls armors deserve a buff, and they did. Neil now gives 24 defense and minus 4 speed. Ritual Robe gives 12 defense, 5 attack, 15 wisdom and 50 MP. And Breastplate gives 160 HP and 14 defense. Since I have a bunch of each of these items, these changes feel real juicy. Free buffs! Now for the last buff. Every tier 6 ability gives 20 HP and 20 MP now, compared to the tiny 2 Vitality and 2 Wisdom they used to give. 20 HP and 20 MP are actually pretty significant for just a passive bonus on already decent equips. This really narrows the gap between tiered and untiered abilities. Now if you don't like that, just remember untiered items are supposed to be situational counterparts to tiered items, not direct upgrades. There are also other changes for a majority of these tier 6 abilities. One is progression of tiers, making each tier more distinguishable. This mainly applies for tier 5 and tier 6 abilities. They all give better passive bonuses. Like I said, if you want to go deep, check the patch notes on it because I don't want to drag this video too long, but I will name some notable ones. Seals now give bonus dexterity, with the tier 6 seal giving a bonus 4 dexterity. Traps give significantly more attack, with the tier 6 trap giving 5 attack. Scepters give speed now, with tier 6 giving 3 speed. So that's pretty much all there is with this update. It's a really big change for veteran players with endgame tiered items. My thoughts on this update? It's very cool, bringing light to tiered items. I mean, these were already strong, but now they are saucy. The buffed rates? Awesome. For a player who hasn't been playing as much, it'll be nice getting white bags a little easier. Any bad thoughts? Yes, somewhat. This feels like there will be a big power creep, but I can't judge yet as Oryx 3 will be introduced in Unity, and they are slowly making dungeons harder. It's very cool to have this update before Unity, as now all my items are a bit stronger, so I'll be having fun giving them a whirl, especially playing with the tier 6 abilities. That's about it for the update video. I hope you found this video informative, and if you did, be sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to
just keep it slowed at all times. You can stun it as well. When 1 second remains, back off, flip range, check out the last segment. Back off now. shotgun don't get cut off.